The sleek glass smartphone in your hand relies on a massive, continent-spanning network of physical machines to function. Networks operate through a hexagonal grid of geographic cells, each with a physical radio tower node. A smartphone uses radio frequencies to reach the nearest tower. That's the only wireless part. From the antenna, the signal enters a hardline cable buried deep underground. To increase our data speeds, the telecom industry has systematically demolished and rebuilt this entire global infrastructure roughly every 10 years. Understanding this 40-year cycle of destruction and reconstruction explains how modern connectivity actually works. The 1G networks of the 1980s used unencrypted analog radio waves to transmit voice. The hardware required to process these raw signals, like the Motorola Dynatac, weighed nearly 2 pounds and delivered only 30 minutes of talk time. Because 1G signals were sent openly through the air without encryption, anyone with a basic radio scanner could tune in and listen to a private phone call. The rollout of 2G in the 1990s replaced analog signals with digital code. This transition allowed networks to support more users simultaneously and introduced the ability to encrypt communication. Digital security required a physical hardware key, the subscriber identity module, or SIM card. Those gold contact pads store a unique encryption key that verifies your identity to the network before a connection is established. 2G networks converted voice into efficient data packets, leaving small amounts of unused bandwidth on the control channels. Engineers used these gaps to transmit 160-character messages, enabling the rise of SMS text messaging on devices like the Nokia 3310. By the mid-90s, the mobile phone had become a secured connection tied to a verified hardware identity across the globe. 3G networks increased bandwidth enough to begin loading real websites rather than struck-down text pages, providing the foundation for touchscreen smartphones like the original iPhone. This chart shows the intricate evolution of mobile standards. 4G LTE unified these paths by converting all communication into packet-switched data. Web browsing, video streaming, and voice calls are all chopped into standardized data blocks that travel through the network. When those data packets reach a cell tower, they are processed by baseband units, or BBUs. The BBU is a computer that demodulates the radio signal back into raw digital code. From the tower, that code is injected into the global backbone, underground fiber optic cables. Your wireless data travels across the country as light pulses through these physical glass strands. Because 4G handles everything as data, the industry created Voice over LTE, or Volte. This engineering standard allows traditional voice calls to be transmitted as data packets on the 4G network. Volte requires specific firmware profiles to function correctly. Many older 4G phones lacked these software updates and quietly relied on aging 3G networks to make their voice calls. As carriers decommission those 3G towers, that fallback disappears. This leaves users with legacy devices unable to contact emergency services like 911, even if their data connection appears active. These wrappers is frequently left stranded by the very networks it was built to use. By the late 2010s, the radio frequencies used by 4G were entirely saturated. To gain more speed, 5G had to utilize millimeter waves, extremely high-frequency signals that carry massive amounts of data. Millimeter waves are fragile. While offering gigabit speeds, they are easily blocked by trees, rain, or brick walls. To maintain a connection, networks must deploy thousands of small cells, localized antennas mounted on lampposts and buildings that relay signals around physical obstacles. To achieve these wireless gigabit speeds, 5G requires the most physically dense and localized hardware infrastructure in history. Maintaining a connection while you are in motion requires a handoff. Your phone continuously measures the signal strength of nearby towers and seamlessly switches to the strongest available source. During a handoff, your SIM card and the new tower perform a background authentication in milliseconds. This prevents a dropped connection while moving between cells. Researchers are now targeting 6G for the early 2030s. This next generation aims for terabit speeds and sub-millisecond latency managed by integrated artificial intelligence. Reaching these speeds will require yet another multi-billion-dollar overhaul of physical antennas, baseband units, and fiber optic cables. The device in your pocket is the visible interface for a global, evolving physical machine that blankets the planet.